Hi friends, it's Mrs. Jackson, and I'm here today to read the last two chapters of Junie B. Jones and Some Sneaky Peaky Spying by Barbara Park to you. Before I start reading, we're going to review the 4 comprehension strategies that we have been working on so far. The first strategy we worked on was asking questions, and this is something that you do before and during your reading. You ask yourself some questions about the story. Usually before, when we do our pre-reading, we try to make predictions and think about what's going to happen in the story. And then while we're reading, we ask questions where we want to clarify what's happening in the story. It could have something to do with the characters, the setting, the problem, or the solution. So we're always asking questions to kind of figure out and learn more about what's going on. It helps us stay focused on our reading. The next strategy we worked on was visualizing. This is where when you're either listening to somebody read to you or when you're reading, you try to make a movie in your mind of what is happening in the story. It definitely makes the story more meaningful if you can see it happening like a movie in your head. And the strategies of asking questions and visualizing are 2 strategies that we're always using as we're reading no matter what. Along with the third strategy we went over, which was making connections. This is when we have something happening in the story that reminds us of something in our lives. So it can have something to do with Junie B. Jones, the situation that she's in, the way that she's acting, maybe where she is. And it reminds you of something that happened in your life that might have something to do with you, maybe where you've gone before, or maybe you know a situation that somebody's been in before. And then yesterday we worked on point of view. And this is the view from which the story is being told. So we asked ourselves yesterday, is it in first person or is it in third person? Meaning, is it character telling us a story or is it the author telling us a story? And we decided that our story is in first person, meaning that it's the character who is telling us the story, which is Junie B. Jones. We're seeing and hearing and looking at everything through her eyes and ears. We're hearing how she thinks. We're seeing what she's doing. It's all through her perspective. And we know that because we heard these clue words: I, me, my, we, and our. Now today, for our last comprehension strategy we are going to work on making predictions. Now, usually with making predictions, you can do this in any length of a book. We can do it at any time when we're reading. We're always trying to guess what we think is going to happen next. Now we have 2 chapters left that I'm going to read to you, and it's going to be the end of the story. So we're going to try to make predictions today about how we think the story is going to end. Now, we're going to use clues and think back to what I've read before, and after we're done reading, we're going to check to see if our predictions were correct or maybe they were a little off, and we'll check on that. Now, in order for us to make those predictions, let me remind you of what happened in the last 2 chapters. So Junie B. Jones, she's at the grocery store with her mom, and she was at the bubbler getting a drink, and her tummy started to hurt. So she sat down to take a break, and she saw come through the door Mrs., which was so exciting to her. And something she didn't realize was that Mrs. was there with her husband. And I'm sure she would call him Mr. if she knew it, that was who he was. Now, she sees Mrs. doing something, because remember, she's doing her sneaky peeky spying. She sees Mrs. take 2 grapes out of a bag and eat those grapes. And that really bothers Junie because she knows that there are 3 rules she has to follow in the grocery store. And one of those rules is that you don't eat things that you haven't paid for yet. And when she sees Mrs. do this, she gets very nervous and anxious and a little bit scared because she saw Mrs. do something she shouldn't do, and she's nervous that Mrs. is going to get punished for it. So Junie makes a decision that she's going to keep that a secret. Now, Junie finds her mom, they go home, Junie keeps it a secret until the next day when she gets to school, and she tells Lucille and Grace she has a secret, but she doesn't want to tell them. They get into a little argument, and then Junie has to go see the principal. And before long, Junie lets the secret slip right out, and that's where the chapter ended when we finished reading together. So what I need you to do is I need you to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? That Junie's let the secret out. She told the principal. What do you think will happen? And remember that where we are in the story right now, it's Grandparents' Day today. So what do you think will happen? Do you think Junie will make it back to the classroom in time for Grandparents' Day for the celebration? Do you think that she'll have to spend the day with principal? Do you think Mrs. will get in trouble? What do you think? Make a prediction or two. Think about it for a second. Okay, hold that thought. And we'll see if your prediction is correct. And if it isn't, and it's a little bit off, that's okay too. Because as long as you're thinking about the story and making good guesses about what you think is going to happen, then you're doing a great job with that strategy. All right, chapter 7. It's called Sour Grapes. Principal called Mrs. to come to his office. Only I didn't even know he was going to do that sneaky thing. That's how come I had to pull my skirt way over my head, or else Mrs. would see me there and she would know I tattletaled on her. So if I put my clothes in front of my face, she's not going to see me because I'm going to be hidden, right? Don't do that, said Principal. Yeah, only I'm allowed, I said from underneath my skirt, because I have on my new red tights and a pair of shorts, so it's okay. After that, Principal went out of his office and I heard my teacher's voice outside the door. Then I quick got down from my big wood chair and I hid it under Principal's giant desk because I was scared of what was going to happen. That's why I stayed quiet for lots of minutes. Then I heard feet come back in the office, and so I made my breath very quiet. Junie B. Jones, said Principal. Well, she might be hiding, said Mrs. She's good at that, you know. And so just then I had to think of something very quick, or else they might come looking for me, I think. I'm going to show you a picture here. There's Junie, hiding under the desk. All nervous, and there are the legs coming in of Mrs. and the principal. Yeah, only Junie B. Jones isn't hiding, I said in a scary voice. Junie B. Jones had to go home. Only don't call her mother, or else she will get mad at you and just be, she won't be happy. After that, feet walked real fast around the desk. How'd they find me? It was Principal. Come out of there right now, young lady, he said. I peeked my eyes at him. Oh, I said very quiet. Then I had to sit in the big wood chair again, and Mrs. sat down next to me. Except I didn't look at her, or else she might see me making a sad face. Good afternoon, Junie B., she said in a nice voice. I did a gulp. I think you and I need to have a little talk, she said. What do you think their talk's going to be about? Then my eyes got a teeny bit of wet in them, like right there and right there and in the corner right there. 'Cause a little talk means I'm going to get yelled at. Yeah, only I try not to tattletale on you, I said very quick, 'cause I didn't want you to go to jail for stealing grapes, and so I kept it a secret inside my head, and I didn't talk, and Grandma Miller thought that a cat had my tongue. I still can't forget about the cat. Only today, Lucille said my head was going to blow, and so that's how I come run to the nurse for a Band-Aid, and she took me to the principal, and then my secret accidentally slipped out of my lips. Mrs. dried my eyes with a tissue, right there, and right there, and right there. It's okay, Junie B., she said. I'm not angry at you. I just need to know what you saw me do at the grocery store. Can you tell me what you saw? Then she said the word exactly. I made my voice very whispering. I exactly saw you eat grapes, I told her, except You didn't pay the store man for them. You just put them in your mouth and ate them, and that is called the word of stealing, I think. And after that, I hid my head under my skirt again. You don't have to hide, Junie B., said Mrs. I'm the one who should be hiding. I'm the one who took the grapes. I peeked my eyes over my skirt. Then Mrs. did a little smile, and she explained all about what happened. 2 weeks ago, I bought some grapes at the grocery store, she said, but when I got them home, I discovered they were so sour no one in my family would eat them. So this week, when my husband and I went back to the store, I thought I'd be smart and taste a couple of grapes before I bought them. I raised my eyebrows. Is that the rules? I asked very quiet. Mrs. shook her head. No, she said, that's not the rules. I should have told the grocery man about my sour grapes, and then I should have asked him if I could sample one or two. But I didn't do that, and it was right of you to worry when you saw me eating them without paying for them. It was? I asked. Mrs. smiled again. Of course it was, she said. It shows you know right from wrong. And it also shows that teachers make mistakes just like everybody else. Teachers aren't perfect, Junie B. No one is perfect. And after that, I felt relief in me, 'cause of no more secrets. That's why. Yeah, and guess what else I saw? I said, very happy. I saw you and your strange man do a big smoochy kiss, and it was right in front of the whole entire everybody. Only you didn't even know I was spying on you, because I'm not actually allowed to do that sneaky thing. Only my mother never even found it out. I smiled, very proud of myself. Except for Mrs. didn't smile back. And Principal didn't smile back too. 'Cause guess why? Another secret just slipped out. That's why. Okay, quick break. So, I didn't predict that Mrs. was going to be okay with it and tell her what really happened. So I think that's cool. And I think it's also really nice that Mrs. pointed out that Junie knew the difference between right and wrong. But then Junie has to let another secret slip out about letting them know that she wasn't supposed to spy on them. So now principal and teacher aren't very happy. What do you think is going to happen now? Make a prediction. Okay. Chapter 8, Grandparents' Day. Mrs. went back to room 9. That's because the bell rang to start kindergarten, of course. Only Principal didn't let me go too. He said to stay in my wood chair. Then he called Mother on the telephone, and he told her all about the grocery store and also about my sneaky peeky spying. Principal tattled on me. And after that, Mother said she wanted to talk to me. Only when I said hi, she didn't say hi back. She said she wasn't very happy with me, Missy, and no more spying means no more spying. And we would talk about this after her work. Then Mother said she never wants to get any more phone calls from Principal. Did I understand? Did I? I looked at Principal. Mother says not to call her anymore, I told him. Then Mother did a loud groan in the phone. Except I didn't know why. And after that, me and her hanged up, and Principal said I could go to room 9, and so I run there speedy quick. Only too bad for me, 'cause when I got there, it was too late to sing My Country 'Tis Thee, Sweet Land of Liver Free, which is my favorite song. And so I just had to sit down at my table, and that's all. I showed Lucille my Band-Aid that's on my head. See, my head's not blown up, I said, very happy. Too bad, said that mean boy Jim. Oh, I made a face at him. Then me and him got into a scuffle. A scuffle is the school word for I accidentally tugged on his shirt. Only guess what? I didn't even get in trouble, 'cause just then the grandparents came to room 9 for Grandparents' Day. Hey, there's mine! I hollered very excited. Mine is the grandma with the baldy. Well, mine is the grandpa grandpa with a baldy head. Mine too, said a girl named Charlotte. Mine too, said my friend named Ricardo. Then a grandma with blonde hair came in, and she had on long red fingernails and dangling earrings with jewels in them. That's my Nana, said Lucille. I smiled at her. Your Nana looks like a nice lady, Lucille, I said. And after that, another grandma came in, and she runned over to give that meanie Jim, a hug. And she tried so hard to hug him. Only that meanie Jim just kept on standing there, and he didn't even hug her back. I will hug you, I said. And so then me and her hugged real tight. Oh, and I whispered, your grand boy is a meanie. But I said it very sweet. Just then, Mrs. clapped her loud hands together and she made the grandparents sit down in the back of the room. Then the children talked all about we do in room 9. It is fun here, said my bestest friend, that Grace. We learn to count and to read and to wash our hands after we go to the bathroom. And we learn recess and snacks and art, said Ricardo. Art's my favorite, I called out, only my art didn't get hanged up because I painted a horse and his head turned out to look like a really long hot dog, and so I had to tear it up and I stomped on it with my shoes. Then that mean Jim did a face at me, and it was right in front of all the grandparents. Yeah, only everybody makes mistakes, I said. Right, missus? Right? 'Cause on Saturday, I saw you at the grocery store and then you stole a bunch of grapes, and so even teachers make mistakes, right? Should I have said that? Mrs.'s face went all kind of funny, and then her skin turned the color of reddish, and her voice couldn't say any words. How come you're not talking, missus? I hollered out. Does the cat that my grandma keeps on talking about have your tongue? Just then, Grandma Miller made a loud laugh in the back of the room. Then I heard my grandpa laugh too. And pretty soon, lots of other grandparents were laughing and laughing. Hey, it sounds happy in this place, I said. And after that, Mrs. didn't look so reddish anymore. Then we got out the refreshments and Grandma Miller helped me put my cookies on a plate. Mrs. made an announcement to room 9 and she said only 2 cookies apiece for the children. Except for I ate 4 delicious chocolate ones and nobody even saw me. Only that's not called stealing, that's called extras. And after the refreshments, the grandparents had to go home to their houses. And so I hugged my grandma and grandpa very much. And then I hugged that meanie Jim's grandma too, and also Lucille's really nice Nana. I love your earrings, I said. Then Mrs. saw me being polite, and she smiled very nice at me. Mrs. has white teeth. They're just like Grandpa Miller's teeth, only hers don't come out, I think. Except I'm not for positive. And so guess what? I still wish I could hide in her hamper. That's what. All right. That's the end of our Junie B. Jones story. How did you do with your predictions? I bet you were really close. You might have even been right with your predictions. And I bet there were a couple of things that surprised you along the way too. Nice job. Good job being good listeners and being strong listeners by doing a good job with listening, asking questions, making connections, picturing the story in your head, visualizing it, and making predictions. You guys did a great job. I'll see you later. Bye.